Yo, what's up ladies and gentlemen? First things first, before we even get into this video, I just want to tell y'all how grateful I am to look at my YouTube studio account and see 1,000 views on my latest post. I'm just beyond grateful to see that in my second week posting videos. So thank you guys all for that. All right, that's enough glazing y'all, but let's get into the breakdown of this new rule that everyone's wanting to implement called the no running rule. Let's break it down and let's get into it. Is boxing about to outlaw strategic genius, or is it finally cracking down on fights that look more like track meets than championship bouts? A storm is definitely brewing in the boxing world over a controversial proposal for a no running rule. It's got fighters, fans, and analysts sharply divided. We're not just talking about some minor tweak here, like changing the brand of gloves. This debate cuts right to the heart of what boxing is and what it should be. So, for a moment, forget what you think you know about the sweet science, because the line between brilliant defensive footwork and just plain running away is about to get a whole lot blurrier. And the implications, you truly won't believe how deep this rabbit hole goes. So, what actually ignited this firestorm? Well, talk about a no running rule isn't brand new in boxing circles, but it's gained some serious steam lately. This is especially true after a few high profile fights back in May 2025. Think performances from guys like Devin Haney and William Skoll. That really got people talking, and not always in a good way. Those fights and other like them left a lot of the audience pretty ticked off, feeling like they shelled out for a fight, not a 12-round sprint. The basic idea behind this no running rule is to give referees the power to penalize fighters who are seen to be excessively avoiding any real scrap. It's kind of like the rules we already have for too much clinching. Think of it as another tool in the refs' belts. Like some pretty vocal commentators, Showbiz for one, argue this rule would give refs the teeth to push for more action, to step in when one fighter seems way more interested in making space than landing punches. They reckon it's a must-have to make sure fans get the action they pay for and stop fighters from basically coasting their way to a win. The rule, as some see it, it would mean point deductions if a fighter is caught running for multiple rounds without genuinely trying to engage. They swear it's not about hamstringing defensive masters, but about keeping things balanced. Okay, so this is where it gets really messy. What even is running in a boxing ring? Well, according to those backing the new rule, it's when a fighter throws to next to no punches, or even zero, like a musician who steps on stage and never plays a note and just moves and moves and moves. We're talking a pattern of ducking the fight that can go on for several rounds, where a fighter might be all over the ring, back and forth, side to side, but with no real offense or any sign they're looking to counter. One commentator who's for the rule laid it out plain. For it to be considered running, the fighter must literally throw zero punches and move excessively for several rounds. This isn't about a fighter smartly using the ring to reset or find an angle for an attack. Oh no, it's about a consistent, long drawn out refusal to mix it up, turning the fight into a frustrating game of cat and mouse where the mouse has zero plans to ever turn and fight. Fans dig deep for tickets, tune in expecting skill, power, and strategy, and when one fighter seems to put evasion above everything else, you can almost taste the frustration. That feeling of being ripped off, that annoyance is a huge reason the rule is even on the table. It's those moments we've all seen, where a fighter's on their bicycle, not to set up some clever trap, but to seemingly just survive until the final bell. Alright, let's flip the coin now, because the sweet science hitting and not getting hit has some heavy counters to this argument. Proper defensive footwork isn't just a trick, it's a massive part of boxing skill. Moving away from punches, as one boxing guide put it, it's possibly the best defensive technique ever invented. It means you can completely avoid getting tagged, though yeah, it can make it tough to fire back with counters. Think about the legends. Muhammad Ali, he was great with his feet. He danced, he floated, he was incredibly hard to pin down, but as the folks defending the current rules would tell you, Ali was boxing. He was on his toes, he was on his back foot, but he was still flicking the jab and letting his hands go. And that's a whole different ballgame compared to what this new rule is trying to stamp out. Boxing's got a whole language of defensive moves built on movement, slipping punches by a whisker, the bob and weave that turns a fighter into a moving target, parrying, blocking, and of course, all that fancy footwork to control the distance and angles. Seriously, good footwork? It's all about pinpoint precision, smart choices. It's not just about being athletic. It's about knowing exactly where to put your feet to set up your next move, whether that's an attack or an escape. Step in just 2 inches too far and you can kill your own punch. The right pivot can open up an angle that changes the whole fight, and that's the artistry many are worried will unfairly get slammed by a badly defined or poorly enforced no running rule. And here's a $1,000,000 question. The heart of this whole mess, where is that fine line between smart, defensive brilliance and just plain running? This is what got everyone at each other's throats. That subjectivity, it's a huge red flag for anyone against this rule. Who gets to decide what's excessive? How do you train the refs to make that call fairly every single time, especially with crazy pressure of a big money fight? It's like asking a panel of judges to agree on what too loud means for music. Everyone's got a different opinion. Imagine a fighter known for being slick, hard to hit, someone who frustrates opponents and picks their shots carefully. Is their style suddenly going to get them point deductions? Are they going to be forced to ditch a strategy that got them to the top just because it doesn't look action-packed enough for some? That's a massive worry. As one analyst puts it, and they've got a point, Bringing in a rule like this is a real slippery slope, especially in a sport that's already got its fair share of ref and judging headaches. The chance of it being applied all over the place is enormous. What one ref calls running, another might see it as clever ring generalship. Could a fighter lose a vital round or even a fight based on how a ref sees their movement, even if that movement is a legit part of their game plan? The fear is this rule, no matter how good the intentions might be for some, could end up punishing skilled defensive boxers, or even worse, get used unfairly, leading to even more dodgy decisions. You have to wonder, are we fixing one problem just to create a bunch of new, even trickier ones? Believe me, the boxing world is totally torn in two over this. Those for the rule are banging the drum. This is for the fans, for the show, they argue. It'll mean more exciting fights, making sure people who pay good money get the action they're after. It's about stopping fighters from winning or just surviving by basically refusing to engage. Like a soccer team passing the ball around their own goal for the last 20 minutes. Plus, they say it gives the refs a real tool to handle fights where one guy just won't play ball. A situation where officials right now don't have many options beyond a bit of telling off. But the other side, they're just as fired up. Opponents are worried this could kill off genuine defensive boxing skills, the very sweet science of hitting and not getting hit. That subjectivity we talked about is a major hurdle. How can you possibly apply a rule like that fairly and consistently? There's a real fear it might push fighters to ditch effective, if sometimes less thrilling, defensive game plans, changing their whole style and maybe even their careers. Some critics are even whispering that this rule could hit certain fighting styles harder than others, maybe even be used to go after specific boxers, though the folks pushing this rule swear that that's not the idea at all. Things have gotten so fiery that, believe it or not, ugly accusations like racist have even popped up online, which shows just how deep this whole thing cuts. Alright, let's get a bit more technical about all this movement stuff. If you look at how boxing breaks it down, there are different kinds of footwork. Going away from an opponent is one way to completely dodge punches. The good part, it's the easiest way to not get hit. It drives opponents nuts and it can work great against slower guys. The downsides, it burns a ton of energy, makes it super hard to counter punch well, and it can definitely lose you fights on the scorecards because it looks like you're just not being aggressive. Then there's going around, using pivots, sidesteps, moving left and right. This is about staying in range to hit back while still dodging shots. It usually takes less energy than just backing straight up, but you still need good stamina. Slipping punches, that's a subtle move, but pure skill. It lets a fighter dodge while staying right there to fire back. Something that often gets missed in all the shouting is the simple energy cost. As boxing analysts keep saying, moving the body takes a lot of energy. And, importantly, it takes too much energy to move your entire body when your opponent is only moving his arm. This kind of hints that all that running around without throwing punches isn't just annoying to watch. You gotta wonder if it's even a smart tactic, energy-wise. Think about it. If a guy is just running and not punching, they're burning a ton of gas, like revving a car in neutral, lots of sound and fury, signifying nothing but wasted fuel. This could leave them empty later on in the fight if it actually turns into a scrap. Maybe, just maybe, the way we score fights already handles this, you know, rewarding effective aggression and ring generalship without needing some new, messy rule. So picture this. What if this no running rule actually becomes a thing? The fallout could be massive. Supporters figure it'll mean refs can give warnings after a few rounds of a fighter looking like they're just coasting and avoiding the action. This could totally change how defensive fighters go about their business. Will we see fewer boxers willing to use a style that's heavy on footwork and evasion, even if it's the smart way for them to beat a certain opponent? Could we see those defensive point scoring styles basically go extinct? If this rule is slapped on inconsistently, or if what it means is still fuzzy, we could see fights and even careers blow up by controversy. It might push fighters into slugfests that just don't suit them, which, yeah, might mean more knockouts, but maybe we lose some of the tactical variety and the beauty of defense. The worry is that it can make all fights look the same, just a slugfest, always favoring the brawler, like demanding every artist paint in the same bold, aggressive style, losing the other techniques. It's a delicate dance, offense and defense, and a rule like this, if it's not drawn up and used very carefully, could really throw it all out of whack. Look, this is a thorny one, passion on both sides, and no easy fix in sight. So, what do you think? Is this proposed no running rule what boxing needs? A way to guarantee action and stop those frustrating snooze fests? Or is it an attack on the sweet science of defense? A rule that could mess with skillful boxers and make the sport more one note? Drop your comments below. Let's really get into this. Can it even be implemented fairly? Who are the fighters, past or present, whose style would be hit the hardest by this? And hey, if you're finding this breakdown useful and you want more deep dives into the crazy, complex world of boxing, do me a solid, smash that like button, and definitely subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. At the end of the day, the whole no running rule squabble is bigger than just fancy footwork. It throws a spotlight on that permanent tug of war in boxing. Is it a brutal fight or a technical chess match? Sure, defensive movement is key, even beautiful sometimes, but this whole mess makes us ask, Where's that line between smart defense and just plain running away? This argument is a long way from being settled. It's shifting with every controversial fight and every strong opinion that gets aired. What's totally obvious is that this idea pokes at something huge. What do we, the fans, the watchers, actually want boxing to be? How should the sport balance that sacred art of hitting without being hit against the raw, gut-level expectation of a real scrap between two warriors? Boxing is always changing, always evolving, finding that sweet spot. That balance is going to be absolutely vital. It's key to keeping the technical soul of this sport alive, but also its power to grab a worldwide audience that wants to see skill, guts, and yeah, a genuine willingness to fight. The result of this debate, whatever it turns out to be, will for sure shape the future of the sweet science.